yes.
Holy shit, Kevin!
Wow. What?
You get this only nowhere else but you, Kevin and Zach. Kevin, I'm not gonna lie.
Now we're not look at this. A carved penguin. There it is.
Oh no. Are the O's fine? Are the Orioles fine, Kevin?
I was so embarrassed.
Okay.
The Orioles stole it. That game was stolen. It was stolen from them, then they stole it right back.
What?
Oh my
Wait, what's going on? What is happening?
What is going? Was it a diving play? He bobbled the ball.
What is happening? Are they challenging it? No. Other wall. No.
Kevin, I don't know what you saw, how much you saw. I've been chugging champagne. Sure, I spilled a lot, but what a game, man.
He will be the legendary
Birch Fish!
How about that?
Birch Fish fans, stand up. We did it.
What can I say? What can I say?
Kevin, Kevin, I don't know what to say. That just happened. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Kevin and Zach React, where we thought the night was winding down, and then suddenly we got trade news, Kevin. Taylor Ward is going to Baltimore, and Grayson Rodriguez, he who shall not be named. Kevin, this is why we weren't naming him. Grayson Rodriguez,
you called it, huh?
is going to the Los Angeles Angels. Passing rights. The Orioles get the power hitting outfielder they've been seeking. We'll get into all of that in a moment. And the Angels get back a young arm coming off injury. Quite a trade. Wow. Kevin, I'm not going to lie. I did not see this one coming. Like I had a classic double take at a passing bomb. Hand up, I did it.
Yeah. I mean, if you want power, you got power. I mean, we'll dive into Taylor Ward a little bit, but I think we should start with Grayson probably.
Yeah.
Pretty shocking, but at the same time, not shocking. I mean, the medicals just must be horrible, is what it comes down to for Grayson, because we know the potential that he has. We know he throws heat. We know that when he's healthy and available, he can be a dude for you. He has been a dude. But it's tough because, I want and still do want Grayson to realize his potential as a player in this league. He's still young. He still has time. He's not a free agent until 2029. I think he still has arbitration years and whatnot. So, I mean, I like it for the Angels, and I think for the Orioles, this is a guy that they needed in their lineup. We were talking about the Schwarbers of the world and, those free agents that are available, but I don't know if the Orioles just didn't like those guys enough, or if they saw this opportunity fall into their lap. I'm curious to see if this was the Angels approaching the Orioles for Grayson, or if the Orioles were shopping Grayson around to see what they could get. But now this creates another hole in your rotation. And I know for you, Zach, it does not, because you were not really factoring him in until he could be fully healthy, which is totally fair and understandable. But
I'm going to be honest. The only reason I didn't mention it is because, like you said, I didn't, you can't bank on him being healthy. I coming off injury, I just didn't see a trade like with him being, I get it. It's selling low on Grayson, but I also feel like they got great value. Like this is not to me a selling low on Grayson. Like they got a good player, and we'll get into that in a minute. But it's weird because Grayson's value is definitely at the lowest it has been, but at the same time, you got a good player back for him. Yeah, so I feel very indifferent, really, right now. It's like a weird feeling.
I think by definition it is selling low because of what you said in terms of like his value is at its lowest, and I'm not sure how much lower it can go considering the reports out on Grayson. It's like he has number one upside, but he can't stay on the field. And when you can't stay on the field, you're not helping the team out. So, I know there were I saw some people floating around the possibility of Grayson moving to the bullpen, just lessen the stress of his arm and whatnot. That was never, to me, a realistic possibility. Grayson is a starter. Yeah. It fills a need for you. I love the idea of Schwarber in Baltimore, so I'm kind of bummed that that's kind of off the table now. But we'll get into Taylor Ward. This is exactly what they needed. It's a little bit of a bummer. I think he's a free agent after this is a rental essentially.
This is potentially a rental.
That's a bummer to me. He's also not the youngest player in the world. Certainly not old, but certainly not young either. 31. So he's going to be 32 and.
Let's play my favorite game, Meet the Oriole.
Savant, let's do it.
Let's go and let's do it. As you can see, guys, first thing that let me go all the way down. Outfielding, we can go through the years, but first thing stands out, arm value, not great. Arm strength, range, perfectly average for range and arm strength, actually. Guy who doesn't chase, 92 percentile. He's got good barrel rating, batting run value, 80th percentile. But you look at his stats, 792 OPS, I believe, is a career high. The one thing that stands out to me, Kevin, and it's actually funny because this is something Ryan and I talked about a few days ago, and the first number, because it slaps you in the face. 36 home runs are great. That's awesome. That's awesome. But 103 RBIs on a bad Angels team. Let's keep that in mind. So what the Orioles, that would have been first by a landslide. I think Gunnar was the leader with 82, maybe. So this is a guy who knows how to get people in. As you can see, he does only have a 247 career average. 228 average last year. Funny enough, was actually a low for him. He batted 246, 253 in 24 and 23. This is a guy that I think you hope the power plays, but the ability to drive in runs is really what stands out to me, and I hope can carry over because the Orioles, how many times did we sit there and they were unable to get a guy in from third? So if he can drive in runs, which he did in LA with 103, that's, I hope that's what you got him for, because getting runners in is very important with 103 last year. That's what stuck out to me.
Yeah, also relatively available. Over the past 2 years, has played in 156 and 157 games, respectively, over 2024 and 2025, 97 in 2023, and 135 in 2022. And 2022 was really where he started to get it going. So, again, you needed a power bat. You get a power bat. And for Grayson, it's a fresh start. And again, I have to think that those medicals are just not great because the 1-for-1 value, in terms of upside and potential, it favors the Angels, but the Orioles get something that they need back in it, where you could have plugged Schwarber in, you could have plugged Kyle Tucker in. Maybe there was another trade candidate out there, but I would just hope that he's able to keep the power while getting his strikeout rate down a little bit. He walks at a high rate, so you like to see that as well. You mentioned the RBIs. So just really interesting. I'm curious to see where he projects in terms of if he's going to get because now you have, so their outfield rotation is going to be what? Cowser,
Ward,
O'Neal will
Obviously,
factor
O'Neal.
in as a DH/outfielder.
This makes me, I'm going to be completely honest with you. This completely takes me out on Leotis Taveras is just going to be a camp body because now the outfield makes less sense to have a guy like that. But Kevin, while we sit here and talk, I guess we should get, Dylan Beavers.
Beavers, correct.
Yes, thank you. So, there's this outfield is
Jeremiah
starting to get a little,
Jackson.
but Jeremiah can play the infield.
You can put him in the infield as well, yeah.
But while we're here, let's get someone else's reaction. Let's welcome to the floor our friend and yours, Ryan Ripken. Ryan,
can we have a move like
No.
when I was
Nope.
setting up the rest of my day. Yeah, I'm trying to relax, and I just texted my buddy, and I'm just like, hey dude, won't say who the buddy's name is, but I'm like, hey dude, can we not do this at this hour? Can we not?
Not allowed. You probably got a response that said you're lucky it's not at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Let me fix my mic, Kevin. I pulled a U real quickly. Hold on.
That happened to me. I recorded for Locked On Sports today. I've been hosting the national show for a couple days, and my mic didn't even pick up I recorded through my cam microphone. It didn't even pick up my mic.
Yeah. Holy shirts and pants.
Just a chip with this going on, Doug. Can you hear me?
There you go. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so I got a few things. One, I'm trying to get this up on the TikTok. Secondly, the reality of this situation. This is a bigger for me. You get an outfielder that is dependable, and I'll explain that a little bit more in depth. Oh gosh, I'm frazzled right now because I literally was trying to get things together.
Well, welcome to the late night.
Yeah.
I know. But I thought I had to come on to talk about this. The other part that I want to discuss, let me collect my thoughts. I think this is a big part about the Orioles wanting to move on from Grayson. I think that as much as I think Taylor Ward, and I'll get into what I think the pros are of Taylor Ward here in a second. The bigger part to me was you came to a point with Grayson that you were ready to move on because Taylor Ward contract wise, this is it this year, our year, and then that's it. So you were ready to move on from Grayson. Too many injuries, the value's there. So what you're telling me is you have less faith in Grayson Rodriguez for the future, because if you had faith that he's going to be good and he's fine and there's no tension, you don't trade away a young starting pitcher that when he's on the field, he's pretty damn good. And the key word is if. Let me go to the positive then on this side of at least, again, I'm shocked that it happened. But at least what the Orioles decided, they got their right-handed bat for the outfield. That is answered. They needed it. They got it. I don't think it stops them from getting another outfielder if they really want it. But the reason why they got Taylor Ward, you have Cowser, left-handed hitter, Beavers, left-handed hitter. Tyler O'Neill is not an everyday player, and that's the key word here. Taylor Ward has played 156 or more games in the last 2 seasons. So you know what that's telling me? That dude is playing every damn game. Yeah. You do not make this trade if Taylor Ward is not playing every damn game that he can. So when we look at it that way, Taylor Ward, yes, the batting average, if you're a fan, is going to go, dude, why would you want to bring in a guy that's in 228? And I get it. Believe me, I understand that because that's low. But Zach, you've heard me say this before. I don't care what the hell your batting average is if you drive in runs. You know what Taylor Ward did? That dude drove in runs. He drove in 103 of them. And what have the Orioles lacked is a run-producing bat. So if that's the role for Taylor Ward, drive guys in. I don't care if he hits 210 or 280. If he drives in 100 RBIs in 2026, that's a win for the Baltimore Orioles, no doubt about it. But there is going to be, I am curious. I'm not expecting 30 jacks from Taylor Ward. So you hope he does that again, but that's a big if. especially coming to the AL East. So,
and I mean, the one thing is with the batting averages, last year it was a low for him at 228, and actually it was his lowest since he played in 20 games and 40 games in 2018, 2019. But besides that, I mean, 2024 bad 246, 2023 bad 253, bad 281 in how many games? 135 games in 2022. So it's funny because the power went up this year and the average went down. If he can continue to drive in runs, I would like to see obviously a closer into that 280. That would be really nice. But I mean, this is a guy who's put up a 3.5 WAR year. I think there's potential there, but I agree. This tells me that they were done with the Grayson Rodriguez experience. Whether that now means, they definitely need to go out and get another starter, whatever it is, but it definitely shows me that they either did not feel like Grayson after all these injuries could return to form. They got an offer that they felt like was okay, enough to take, but this does feel like it may be more about, like you said, okay, they were done with seeing what Grayson Rodriguez could do. They got as much value as they probably could, and then they moved on.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I want to at least continue to emphasize, if Taylor Ward gets 100 RBIs again, that is a massive victory for the Orioles. But you know what this is also telling me, and it makes sense, and I'm and it even doubles down that Grayson Rodriguez was not going to be factored into how the Orioles went about in their rotation this year, because you couldn't. You couldn't count on Grayson. And last year they were depending a little bit on him to take that step. Now you couldn't account for Eflin being hurt, and then you lose, it feels like, every other guy. And that's a tough position. So we talked about not getting burned twice. With you losing Grayson, though, not that you depend on him, that means you are probably going to get at minimum 2 arms now. At minimum 2 starters are coming into Baltimore. And with that, the way it's being done, the focus can be, okay, is that going to be a free agent? Could that be another trade here in the works? I think you could see any options on the table. And if you're an Orioles fan right now and you're sitting here, I was looking at the free agent bat, Zach, and we talked about this. The next best right-handed bat is going to be Pete Alonso at first base. I'd be shocked if Pete Alonso comes to Baltimore. I would be shocked.
I would be extremely shocked.
Yeah. And the Taylor Ward thing, if I'm seeing that, or not Taylor Ward, Tyler O'Neill, I'm not even factoring Tyler O'Neill into my everyday lineup. I'm not.
Yeah.
But Kevin, if you're sitting there right now, and I know it's not, again, this is not the player that everyone's gonna jump up and down about. Taylor Ward's a damn good player. I want to point that out. He's a damn good player.
He's a ball player. He shows up, he does his job, and gets out. It's not going to be the flashiest thing. I think he is going to provide you, with streaks and moments. But yeah, like I keep saying, I think this was, kind of what we were talking about, Kevin, beforehand. This felt more of like, okay, we don't trust Grayson, more than it was, hey, we love Taylor Ward. We can't go next year without Taylor Ward.
The move is more, in my opinion, they wanted to move on from Grayson than it was acquiring what Taylor Ward can be. But I do think when you look at the market, the best outfielder that was a right-handed hitter was Harrison Bader that was on the market.
Yeah.
So if the Orioles were already going to be in to get pitching, well, now they've for fans right now, if they don't, all hell will break loose. But for me, this is the telling card. The card's out. It's there. The Orioles will go get pitching. They are going to. But Kevin, going back to what I was going to say, if this is the case, and the platoon, the big P word, I like the idea of knowing a guy that played a lot, and this is what he did with his reps. I think that has to be maybe a sign that the platoon action is changing in Baltimore. At least in this case, Tyler O'Neill will platoon if he's on the roster, which who knows, but he will platoon. It seems like Taylor Ward will not. or I don't understand why you make that move.
Yeah, I mean, the best way, I think, because we know that with Tyler O'Neill in particular, I mean, the thing has been health for him. So when you get a guy that's available, one of the best ways that you can make sure that Tyler O'Neill stays healthy is to put him in a role where he's not asked to do as much. And like O'Neill wants to play all the time, I'm sure, and wants to help the team contribute. But when you're as injured as you are and you've had that history, the best trait you can have, or at least one of them, is availability when it comes to sports. And that's what we talked about with Grayson, where it's like, we know what he can do when he's healthy and when he's out there, but the problem was he just wasn't. You're not helping the team that way. So being able to manage at bats or manage a situation, I think is, kind of what you should be planning around. And so, yes, Taylor Ward is not a flashy player. He's older than Grayson. He has less control than Grayson, but they also like this. And this is what I do over with the Ravens on Locked On Ravens. And this was that during the trade deadline. I'm like, look, you can look at every single move in a vacuum and say, this is a move that you can just look at by itself. And that's what we have to go off of right now. But I'm just very curious to see how the rotation shapes up. And when we're looking back on this in February, in March, to say, okay, they brought in an outfielder, they opened up another spot in their rotation, and this is who they brought in. Now, how does it look? Because right now, we're just trying to fit all the pieces together, right? We're trying to figure out, all right, where does Taylor Ward fit? How does he fit this lineup? What are the pieces that the Orioles now have in their rotation? But we still have a couple of months to go here before this team is fully complete. So in terms of upside, the Angels win this deal. But we know that the Orioles need a power bat. And I think you're right, Ryan, where it's like, you look at the names, like I said, like, man, I love the idea of Kyle Schwarber in Baltimore. Well, Kyle Schwarber's not right-handed, first of all. And second of all, like, how realistic is it that some of these big high-profile names choose Baltimore? It's not impossible, but you also can't bank on it happening. So if you want to risk and say, okay, we're going to bank on X name coming to Baltimore in free agency, and you don't take an opportunity to make a trade like this, if you're already so sold on moving off of Grayson, and who knows if they could have done better if they moved off of him at whatever time or whatnot it was, that's a different conversation. But if you don't make a move like this and all of a sudden the market dries up because you're like, what's happened to the Blue Jays over the last handful of years? And shout out to them for going as far as they have. But the thing with the Blue Jays over these last couple of years is, well, they come in second on everybody. And so they have all these plans, and all of a sudden it's like, well, now we have to kind of pivot. And they've pivoted very nicely. They put together a World Series roster. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So I would have loved to see Grayson continue his career in Baltimore. I'd still love the upside, and I'm pretty bummed and disappointed that they moved off of him. But if it was going to happen, you needed to get something back that could help your team. And I just hope that, again, the power stays, the average goes up a little bit, the strikeouts come down, and he's able to keep driving in runs. Because if he doesn't, then you're going to have a different conversation. But I'm still curious to see how the team shapes up.
Yeah. So the one thing, again, like, I think that the bigger emphasis here, and if you're new to the channels, Kevin and Zach React, Ryan Ripken Show, hit that like and subscribe button. The Ryan Ripken Show, we're live at 5. Kevin and Zach during baseball season are going to be live for every single game. You guys know the drill. They do it. I pop on when I can when moments like this happen. If the deal's at 3 a.m, they will be doing this. I will not be hopping on. The bigger emphasis, it does. The bigger emphasis to me is the Orioles they're worried about the injury history with Grayson, that there's something that's popping up, and they were just done. Like, I want to I know the Orioles needed the bat, and I still, like, you're looking at, they needed the bat to help. Giving up a mid-20s pitcher with the upside that Grayson has, you don't do that unless you are not confident in what you're getting in him moving forward. And I told you guys this before, and I still remember when I retired in 21. I got to be with Grayson throughout the years in the minors, right? So I watched him. I know him. I told you guys from stuff. He has it. He's got a powerful arm. In 2022, Grayson was trying to get up to the big leagues. You guys remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's when the injury history started. Mm-hmm. He hurt his lat, missed the rest of the way or couldn't get up to the big leagues. And then 2023 trying to make the team, and he felt you could feel a rush. And ever since that second half of 2023, where everyone thought the flip was switched, he looked great, he was going to emerge. What happened in 2024? Couple stints on the IL.
Yeah.
And then you go into 2025 where he's still trying to figure out how he warms up in spring training. And where I'm talking about with the lat, so people understand this. I mean, I'm on like this little box, but like for the lat here, and Grayson was saying I was trying to figure out how to throw and protect my shoulder. If your lat changes how you throw, and then your shoulder became the second issue, and you're trying to figure it out, it all is in sync. So it went from lat to shoulder to elbow. And yes, he doesn't have Tommy John, by the way, when they're going, just get Tommy John. It wasn't Tommy John. It's not the UCL. But you're wondering if you've had to change your how you throw, and your body's still having these injuries, unless like the relationship got so bad, or that Grayson said, hey, I don't want to go to the pen. Maybe that was going to be talked about for him.
Yeah.
I don't know all the above, but the point being is they were ready to move, because you don't move a 20. How old is he? 26.
Yeah.
You don't move a 20. You don't move a
26.
26-year-old pitcher if you think he's going to be a top 2 guy in your rotation. You and especially, I want to make it clear one more time. Ward, you need an RBI guy. You checked it off the list.
Yeah.
But there could have been other alternatives here. But the Orioles need pitching, and they were saying we're willing to give up on a 26-year-old with what we have. And they're going to say, hey, Ward fits everything. He's great. I love everything about him as far as gamer, dependable, put him in the lineup. But the bigger story is that the Orioles felt that Grayson Rodriguez would not be the ace of the future that they were hoping he would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely that the biggest story of this trade is more that the Orioles were done with Grayson rather than the Angels done with Ward. So I think overall, Grayson Rodriguez, this also tells me that, you have to now sign Rodgers long-term. You have to do these things because Grayson, while immediately, wasn't maybe in this year's plans because of all the injury history, he was one of the few guys that you had long-term. His deal went through 2030. And I think past that, now all of a sudden there are question marks. After the season, Rodgers is gone. Bradish's deal is obviously coming up, Wells and them. So you have to now look at, hey, are we going to extend Rodgers, or is a guy in free agency? We've only seen Mike Elias recently give 1-year deals. Are we going to see a 3-4 year deal? When we talk about getting a Ranger Suarez, a Dylan Cease, a Michael King, it's got to now be more years, because there's one less guy where we already said, hey, you couldn't necessarily rely on him to be the guy for 30 starts a year. He was still a guy that had that potential that you knew, hey, he's going to be on our squad till 2030, and past then we'll see what happens. Now all of a sudden there's one less guy that you can kind of slot in. I think, not only do they need to sign guys, they need a guy that is here for the next 3-4 years. And, when you get a guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big risk for the Orioles. I mean, there's no way about it. Like it's true, that Grayson, with the potential that he's shown, if he turns it around, and then, like, I know worst case for a lot of people is with Taylor Ward's age and contracts, like he has a year in Baltimore and then he just leaves, and it's like Corbin Burns all over again. And you're like, all right. So, I don't want to say it puts pressure on the Orioles to re-sign him no matter what. If he has a bad year, they're not going to, but there is pressure here, but this is who they decided is going to be their power right-handed outfielder, and hopefully it works out for him. And I hope Grayson has a lot of success too. Again, I'm bummed that it couldn't happen in Baltimore. I think Grayson has a ton of upside, and I think, with the control that he has and the gas that he throws, like, you got to bring in the guys to replace him and get this starting rotation to where it needs to be, because the age does not favor Baltimore. The control does not favor Baltimore. So this really does need to work out.
Yeah. And
it felt like
that's go ahead, say, just in the chat, 1 through 10. Let's play everyone's favorite game. How are you feeling about this? Because I know people are very passionately 10 meaning this was a fantastic trade. 5 is you are completely indifferent. Could be good, could be bad. 1 is this is the worst trade ever. Guys, I'll let you guys kind of answer that. Where are you guys on that? I'm sitting at a perfect 5. I think this is just because it's a guy that I wasn't necessarily relying on to be part of the club this year. So I'm like, okay, Taylor Ward, am I ecstatic he's here? No, but he's put up over 100 RBIs. He has the power. So I think for the Orioles, at least, I'm indifferent. I'm going to see how things play out. I not going to get super high or super low because I wasn't really expecting Grayson, to be relied on in this lineup or in this rotation.
I'd probably say I'm at a 4 for the Orioles. I'm bummed that Grayson is not going to be able to realize that potential here. But again, I agree with you, Ryan. It's clear that they just didn't have him in their plans anymore, and whether that's the right decision or the wrong decision, it just is what it is. So I'm curious what else they could have gotten for Grayson. I don't really have packages off the top of my mind right now, but they addressed the need and there is potential with this move, but I think that we're just going to have to see how Grayson looks, honestly. Like, even if Taylor Ward comes in and has an average year, everyone's going to grade this deal off of how Grayson does, not on how Taylor Ward does. That's just what it is.
That's a great point, Kevin.
My grade, honestly, I don't even have a 1 to 10. It's incomplete. I just think there's no number for me that can quantify with it. The biggest thing is the Orioles need to go and get 2 to 3 pitchers for really to get a great assessment, because then you can't properly put this out. Like it's a failed move, in my opinion, if you don't go and get 2 to 3 arms, which I think that they're going to have to do. It's kind of telegraphed. And for the Orioles part of it, I still think they're going to go get one more bat, because I think they still need one guy that's comfortable that they can rely on. I would still be shocked if this is what they go with moving forward. Actually, I shouldn't say I should be shocked at that. I would be shocked if the Orioles don't go and get at least 2 arms, one of them via free agency at least. And I think that they got to be in on. They have to be in on. We talked about like Ranger Suarez being it. Yeah. The Orioles have to walk away this offseason with 2 starting pitchers, and they got to get 2 high leverage arms from the bullpen. I don't even care about the rest of the bats that they get, to be honest. Like, if Taylor Ward's the big move for the offense, I can live with that. For a team, you can't live if you don't go get a guy that can be at the back end of the bullpen. And, Elias's words were they weren't going to revolve around Grayson. Well, he was right. They traded him. He also said, we're going to go. So check 1, he said what he was going to do. That was number 1. Number 2, are you going to get starting pitching? We're going to have to see. And most importantly, I told you guys, you can shore up the middle relief guys in your bullpen. You saw that with Dietrich Enns. I think you buy back Cano because of the upside of what he has done, not what he did last year. But those guys can surprise you. And like, I go back a few years ago, who was the big surprise out of the Orioles pen in 2022? It was Perez. That was a one-hit year wonder. Danny Coulomb then turned in from a lefty specialist to a high leverage dude.
Yeah.
The Orioles can't take a risk on who is going to be a high leverage guy for them. Robert Suarez or Diaz needs to be in Baltimore, in my opinion. And I'm still sticking with the Robert Suarez as a Baltimore Oriole. I'm still sitting this. I'm not shocked, but I do kind of sit there and go, damn, they really did this.
Yeah.
Like, they really did this.
I think that's my biggest thing is I wouldn't say I'm shocked. If you would have told me, hey, they're trading Grayson Rodriguez this offseason, I would have been like, okay. But it was more just like that it happened. It's like, oh, I did not think it would happen this early, especially with them not having, if this happened after they signed a Suarez or someone for the top of the rotation, then this happens. This makes more sense. I think it's more just caught you off guard. And it's like, wow, they actually did it. Like, then it is shocking that Grayson is not going to be an Oriole in 2026.
The thing here too, looking at this with Ward,
Mhm.
Obviously last year's his career year, but again, one thing that the Orioles have lacked in general is dependability. And I want to emphasize that dependability. And I'm sure Albernaz is looking at that of who could I depend on. So let's put it this way. If Ward gets between 75 and 103 RBIs, would you take that as a Orioles fan? I think the answer would be yes.
What were the numbers?
75 to 103 RBIs.
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm going to do right now, Zach?
I think it depends on how Grayson does. To be honest, I think this whole thing is going to be
No,
determined.
I think how the trade overall is great is 1,000% on Grayson. But now as the Orioles, it's what can you get out of Ward? And but I agree. If Ward goes out there and hits 300 and 100 RBIs and 35 homers, leaves after 1 year, and Grayson becomes a Cy Young Award winner, then suddenly, yeah, Kevin, I agree. It doesn't matter how good Ward does in 1 year. But for the Orioles, I think you take a guy that can just drive in runs.
You know where it would place Taylor Ward, the 75 RBI Taylor Ward from 2 years ago. You know what that would place on last year's Orioles team?
It would be 1 or 2.
He'd be first.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Orioles didn't have a guy have more than 68 RBIs. And I see in the comments, what's the strikeout? He's going to be like every damn player. Look, some guys just know how to drive in runs. And sometimes that means that they're going to strike out 175 times. But when the moment gets to that point, you know what they can do. And I'm look, you're going to look at 2 years and say Taylor Ward hasn't done it enough. I'd rather see a guy that's done it 2 straight years and played 156 games 2 years in a row than other guys where it's been incomplete. The Orioles right now, and I told you this, Zach and Kevin, if you haven't heard this, hey, I'm going to tell you again. Gunnar Henderson of the young core is the one, no matter what, I got zero worries about him whatsoever. I saw people saying, well, Jordan Westburg he's injury prone. Can I even tell you how unlucky you have to be to get drilled in the hand and then break your hands or like mess it up sliding and then slipping on a base? Like, that's not him having I messed up something. Yes, hamstring, sure, okay. But Jordan Westburg, when he plays, there's zero question about his game. And I love Jackson Holliday. I believe in Colton Cowser, but there's question marks about their dependability. Not that they can't play, but can they be consistent? And then there's Adley. Which Adley you going to get? I'm buying the bounce back Adley. But the point being is you need a guy that's going to step up and go, all right, he's going to get RBIs. And if I were to look at this Orioles team right now, they don't make another move. Ward's going to be in the middle of your lineup with Gunnar. You're going to have Basayo. And I'm going to say it. I think Dylan Beavers should get a good look at being at the top of the order. But you're looking at Westburg, Gunnar, Ward, Basayo, and Adley somewhere in the middle. That's a lot better than what it was. But to your point, Kevin or Zach, we don't know. The Grayson thing will be incomplete this year. 1 year is not going to decide this. If Grayson turns out to be a all-star over the next 4 straight years, then guess what? It's going to go back to that the Orioles can't get the best out of developing their starting pitchers. And I've been hearing that since 1990. Well, 93, I don't remember hearing that when I was born. But you guys get the point. Haven't had an ace through the system since Mike Mussina, who was a first-round pick and was an absolute dog. That's what you're going to hear if Grayson Rodriguez goes somewhere else and dominates. And that, I think, is something that will really kill Oriole fans. And quite frankly, the Orioles don't win and Grayson does that, that's a job that you lose a job over, to be honest.
Big risk. Yep.
Yeah. They are being aggressive. They are taking risks. That's for sure. I agree. I think the biggest thing now is the Orioles. You got, that was the 3 check marks that Michael asked his wish list. They gave it the GM's meetings. Outfield bat, specifically a righty, veteran. You get the starter, and then you get the bullpen piece. They got the lefty outfielder bat, right-handed left fielder. Now you kind of go from there. The next up is the pitching. I think that's the most important part. And I think, if they don't do anything with the rest of the lineup, that's one thing, but they definitely have to add, I'm going to say 2-3 impact arms over the bullpen and the rotation, whether that's 2 guys in the rotation, 1 back end bullpen guy, 2 guys in the bullpen, 1 front line starter. You can make that decision, but they need 2 to 3 more, I would say, difference making pitchers, and then you can say you were cooking something this offseason.
How likely is this to you guys that they re-sign one of Eflin or Sergano now with Grayson out of the fold?
If you're going to do one, I was a big Sugano guy all year. I just think if you're going to pick between the 2, it's got to be Eflin.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But again, like I think you need 2 front line, one like mega front line, and then another guy that you can really, really trust in there. I would prioritize that over Eflin or Sergano. If you want to bring Eflin or Sergano back, I mean, you'd have to have I just don't know if there's a spot. I don't think there is a spot if you sign 2 guys. I mean,
I'm still team,
because then there's Povich, and got to figure everything else out. I mean, doesn't hurt to have depth, but are you going to start Povich in AAA again this year? I mean, you have to decide. Yeah.
Trey Gibson. I mean, they've got guys knocking on the door right there. It just all depends on how it, unfolds.
Yeah. You need more than 5 like reliable starters, because we see what has happened the past 2 years. So I wouldn't be opposed to bringing Eflin back. It's just like, what do you do? Like you could have that long man in the bullpen that could be like Suarez, for example. You can kind of rotate in and out of the starting rotation and bullpen if you need him to. Like, by that I mean Albert, because they're like a billion Suarezes now that people are talking about. So
Bring Robert Suarez to reunite.
Bring all the Suarezes to Baltimore. Just let them all have a Suarez. Get the brothers in. Get Ranger. You're cooking. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. The end of the day, guys. One last point that I wanted to make with this, the Orioles moving forward in 2026, they're going to have to create a standard and culture of how they're going to play and the players that they expect in this case. And I'm curious from this moving forward, how we're going to see that for a team being built. And I think that Albernaz is going to have a big part of how he's constructing this. And I think this is one of those moves, in my opinion, where Ward, gamer, he's ready to be out there, and we are looking for more of those guys in our system. Because right now, like I told you guys this. I know Grayson. I know a lot of these guys on the team, and I want nothing but the best for him. But when you have question marks about what you can do for this team moving forward, and that starts to spread, that can become a problem. And it did become a problem. And I wouldn't be surprised here moving forward as this next thing, if the Orioles we start to see a theme of what type of players they are trying to have. Because the things that I think that they learned the hard way, we can't have the same player on offense. We got to learn to be overall more well-rounded. And secondly, we got to be a little bit more scrappy. And I look at a guy like Taylor Ward, but just the 156 in itself tells me that dude wants to play.
Yeah.
And I what other player on the Orioles right now makes you think of an everyday guy? Yeah. That dude is a gamer. You're going to say Gunnar and Westberg when he's on the field.
Yeah.
But it's really just, that's it. You need an attitude change. And I think that's the other part here. I wonder if Taylor Ward can help be a part of that.
Yeah.
Actually, I think this is a we talked about getting rid of Grayson, kind of just dumping that and then moving on. I do think this could be an attitude type of signing. Someone who comes in, from all accounts, a great locker room guy. I think the best word, like you said, Rip, is gamer. Shows up, plays hard, does the little things, and hopefully that can lead to something changing in the lineup, because the big thing that we talked about the Orioles lacked this year is they could not get runners in at times. It was the most frustrating thing in the world, sitting there watching them fail yet again with a guy on third, less than 2 outs to get a guy in, bases loaded, no outs, can't find a way in. When all you need is a fly ball, ground ball to the shortstop, anything. If you can just get a guy, yes. Would love if he gets the batting average closer to that 250, but if you're going to drive in 103 runs, that's still driving in 103 runs. Whatever way you slice it.
I think I figured out the real reason they made this trade. They just want to bring in these catchers, man. Taylor Ward, former catcher, Alvarez. They're scarred from their catcher woes last year. I'm telling you, they want all these catchers in the building. These guys who have played catcher. I see it can be so simple sometimes.
I saw a comment about runners in scoring position, by the way.
Were you able to find that? I was just looking.
I did. So here's the part. And again, I like the batting average part. I still do. So you can be like, okay. He hit 246 with runners in scoring position. Okay.
Right.
OPS, though, was 815. 64 of his 103 RBIs came with runners in scoring position. So Taylor Ward, a majority of his damage was done when guys were on base, guys in scoring position. So think about that. 64 of his runs was 4 less than the team lead in any situation for the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
Like, we can let that sink in. God, that's not good. But for what I'm saying as a team standpoint, I want to look real quickly for context for some of the other guys with runners in scoring position. Since Gunnar was the leading RBI guy, I'll do the quick math here. You want me to math for you? I'll math for you.
Yeah.
You ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you guys think it is before I say anything?
For which stat?
For Gunnar, and this is actually might shock you.
For what
runners
he batted?
with runners in scoring position?
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna say like 213. I don't think he
For Gunnar?
Yeah, I don't think
244.
Yeah, be ready to be shocked. 342.
Wow.
Really?
Hey,
Gunnar
I was
did.
on the money just by 100 points.
I was gonna say it did not feel like Gunnar was. I mean, it felt like the whole team struggled. Damn.
No, and it's always context when the team's not doing well, but that's why Gunnar needs to be in the 3 spot. He needs to be in the middle of the order, get guys on. And at the end of the day, too, like I told you guys this, I value batting average specifically in the postseason. You got to be able to put the ball in play. You have to. If you don't, and you have a low average, you better do something well. And so for the Orioles last year, when you're looking at their lineup, if I went through their batting average compared to how they hit last year, let's play a fun game. Jackson Holliday was second on the team with 55 RBIs. What do you think he hit?
270 with runners in scoring position.
250.
Well, I was saying for the season, he hit 242.
Oh,
yeah.
For just total or with runners in scoring position?
Total for the season. Colton Cowser was fourth on the team with 40 RBIs. He hit 196 on the year.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Mountcastle hit 250 on the year with 35 RBIs. So the thing for me is if you're not going to hit low or you're not going to hit high, you better drive in runs. And it's like the Orioles' problem was these guys weren't hitting high and they weren't driving in guys. So it's like that combination part of it. And do you want me to play the game of what they hit with runners in scoring position?
Yeah.
We play the game. Kevin, you ready to get your mind blown? And if you're new to the channels, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show, Kevin and Zach React. I won't be on this late in the future, but Kevin and Zach are going to be on for every Orioles game in 2026. So, hey, how you doing? Check them out. Ryan Ripken Show, we're live at 5. We'll talk about this a lot tomorrow. All right, guys. Jackson Holliday last year, second most RBIs on the team, average scoring
with
position.
runs in scoring position, I'm going to say
250.
Damn, that's a good one. I was going to say 257, but now I'll say 263.
221.
Damn. You say should have. Kevin, I like you.
Sheesh.
So
I'll keep.
That's
Yeah,
going.
keep it going.
I don't.
Jordan Westburg.
Oh,
He was
208.
no. I'm going to say Jordan Westburg was in the 270s.
And the game of guessing is Jordan Westbrook hit 358.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was going to say Westy.
Problem was he wasn't healthy. So when I talk about this out loud, the Orioles have two players in my mind where you're not even going to think about their production on the field. That's Gunnar and Jordan.
Yeah.
They're healthy. There's zero doubt. The rest of the guys, they got to figure out who they are. But like Taylor Ward's profile, he's what every one of the hitters, I guess, wants to be, right? You want to drive in runs? Well, guess what? He's figured out how to do that the last 2 years. And I don't want to have that argument about he hasn't done it enough. I will take the guy that's played 156 games for 2 straight years over players that haven't played 2 years in the big leagues yet. And think about that. The Orioles, they're going to get better, but Taylor Ward knows what that looks like. Not saying it's going to be perfect, but he knows what that looks like. And that's his role. Santander could be the worst hitter on the planet for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then have the best 3-week stretch. Santander and the Orioles, you guys want to take a look? You want to take a guess of what his numbers were back with the O's? Scoring position?
Oh, he was. Actually,
That'll be fine.
Are we saying in 2024 or a career with the Orioles?
Let's go 2024. We had 102 RBIs and hit 235.
I'll say he batted 290 with runners in scoring position.
Okay. Kevin?
274.
Scoring position, he hit 234.
Home run.
44 home runs, 102 RBIs. So, but what was Santander's profile? He was a bopper.
Yeah.
And he realized how to bop. So that fit the Orioles lineup. Ward actually is that. Tyler O'Neill is what people hoped he would be. Ward actually is the production for 2 years in a row. So it's not going to be perfect. It's not. But I wanted to give context to this. First off, Jordan Westburg and Gunnar Henderson are way better than people are giving them credit for. And secondly, Taylor Ward on an RBI being that guy, he needs more credit than he's gotten. But I get it. Why? The shock factor, because Kevin had to come on after working 28 hours in the day with Locked On Ravens to talk about the move. So,
I'm seasoned in it now. They trained Zach and I last offseason to do this. So,
oh my gosh.
We're lucky it wasn't 3 a.m. Like
I was going to say, this is actually early for last offseason when we're breaking news at 3 a.m. about Corbin Burns.
Do you guys want to get? I mean, we haven't gotten one right yet for you guys.
Yeah,
I've
been terrible at this.
All right, what was Santander in 2023 when the Orioles, when he hit 257 and had 95 RBIs?
With scoring position?
Uh-huh.
No, bet 250.
Okay, Kevin?
283.
305.
Oh, I was closer.
Which
but
again,
that
just shows the difference he had in back-to-back years of 1 year with so many of his home runs or RBIs were relying on the home run ball, and the other year, I mean, because that's polar opposites. Is that almost 100 points more in the 1 year?
80 or 70.
Yeah.
74.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad you mentioned that, Zach. It's the years are going to change. You're going to be better in certain situations than others. But what type of player can you be? Santander for those 2 years, the 3 years, he was the Orioles' best RBI guy for 3 straight years. It was just a role that he understood. And he was depended on for that. You know, when we talk about guys trying to figure out a role in a team, it's hard. And especially when a lot of guys think they can do the same thing. Not everyone's an RBI guy. They're not. It's not the case. You want your first baseman and third baseman to be RBI guys. I mean, hell, me in the minors, I couldn't do that well enough. And I didn't play well enough. But the profile for me was, hey, that's what you got to do. Yeah. I didn't do that enough, right? And the guys that play first and third, they want you to drive in runs. And if you're not driving in runs, probably not at those positions. The other ones, it's like, all right, well, we got to fill out our team regardless. Who can be that in that role? Jose Ramirez, we bring it up all the time. That dude, death taxes, and that dude loves an RBI steak. Just drives it in. he is the best RBI guy, I think, outside of Judge over the last 5 years, which is insane.
It's
Consistent, though. It doesn't matter how it looks. You know what the RBIs that are at the end of the year. They're good. So,
yeah.
anyway.
And also just look at Ward. I mean, also 31 doubles last year. So it's not just home runs. I mean, 31 doubles, 36 home runs, led the Angels in that 63 singles. So it's a guy that it's not just home run power. And if you get guys on in front of him, hopefully he drives them home. That's the biggest thing. Like we keep saying, I think the biggest takeaway is this is a guy that knows how to get runs in. And that's what you need on this team. It's just a guy who can find a way to get runs in, because how many times, hell, you want to go in the 18 inning game in the World Series, the 15 inning game in the ALDS. It was about people just who can get that final, and sometimes not even the hit, who can get the guy in. It's not always about, can you, when IKF gets thrown out at home, what if he puts that ball in the air? It's a sac fly. They win the World Series. Like, it's little things. Finding ways to get guys home is an art. It's a skill. And if you have someone who just has a knack for getting guys in, you take that.
Yep. I mean, again, we know where the Orioles have been lacking. We've talked about it all, reaction here, and they felt like they could get a guy in that can help them in that department. And you have to give up a promising player to get that player. But at the same time, and it's kind of what I talked about at the beginning of the show, I am curious how hard they were shopping Grayson. And Ryan, the answer, according to what you said, was I'd assume probably they were just done. Like, they were just like, all right, this is not what we want to do. And Elias's comments said as such. Like, when he comes out and says, well, he's missed a year and 2 months, like, you got to take into account, like, the writing was kind of on the wall. I was honestly expecting if he was going to get traded, it would have been like him and others for like a better pitcher or something. Like, that was kind of what I was imagining if Grayson was to be moved in a deal, not necessarily a 1-for-1 like this, but it's a big year. It's a contract year. Guys sometimes ball out in contract years. And so hopefully those strikeout numbers can get down a little bit and the power stays like we've been staying all show.
Yeah, I mean, just, shout out Alex Fast for this stat on Twitter. But Taylor Ward had a sub 20.7% chase rate in 2025. That would have led the Orioles' current roster. So we talk about a guy who, yes, he's going to strike out. It's going to be a lot of strikeouts probably in the zone. But if he's not chasing, if he's working pitches, in 2023, when they won 101 games, it felt like the Orioles could get a pitcher out so fast, even if they weren't scoring. It was unreal. You would look up, it's the fourth inning, the pitcher had already thrown 85 pitches. And it's like they just had a way of making a pitcher work. Even if they were striking out, it was striking out on the 6th or 7th pitch of the at-bat. So, a guy who's not chasing can drive in RBIs for a pitcher that you don't know the future of. You don't know, injuries and stuff. I understand why they made the deal. I'm still like, like you said, Ryan, it's like a holy crap, they actually did it type feeling. But I understand completely where the Orioles, why they made this deal.
How about this stat for you? Okay. Because this is what the picture I'm trying to paint. First off, Grayson more than likely would have had some side of restricted innings, would be my guess.
Yeah.
Just from what I'm seeing, what I understand with the game. And guess who's also going to be on a little restricted innings limit? Probably is going to be Tyler Wells going into next year. You hope that he's ready, but there's a process, especially a guy like Tyler Wells, which, again, that's why you need 2 or 3 starting pitchers. I just said that Taylor Ward has played 156 games in consecutive years. Do you guys want to guess the amount of Orioles that played more than 100 games this year?
The number of Orioles who played more than 100 games this past season?
Yes.
2.
I know it was Gunnar was 1. Past that, is it guys that could be traded? Or no, because none of them.
There won't be. Kevin's exactly right.
Yes, that was a complete guess.
Is it in Cowser?
It was Jackson and Gunnar.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
Jackson too.
So here's my point to this. The Orioles, not only did they not have more than 2 guys play over 100 games, Cowser played 92,
I was
Adley
gonna say
played
Cowser had to
90.
be close.
So they only had 4 total players play more than 90 games this past season. So like let that sink in when you're talking about creating a consistent lineup and being dependable. You can hate Taylor Ward's stats all you want. Again, goes back to if they are healthy and they have a track record. Now watch, like, knock on wood, I hope he's healthy next year. But you know what I love to see is that you're adding a guy that you can count is going to be in the lineup every day. Platooning derails teams, in my opinion, to an extent. Like, unless you're really good at understanding your role, the Orioles were good at that in 23, awful at that in 2025. But the other part is you need to know that I can plug in Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holiday, and Taylor Ward every single day. And yes, injuries are going to happen. The freak injuries happen. That's not my point. The point is Taylor Ward, if he's healthy, and Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holiday, regardless of matchup, they are in the lineup. And that is something that you cannot undervalue. And that gives teams confidence knowing that you have guys that are going to be in there.
Yeah.
You look around the league, who the Yankees you can say about having Judge? Well, guess what? They also had Jazz in the games. They also had Cody Bellinger in the game. They really they platooned a little bit with Ben Rice. They had Paul Goldschmidt, but they had a pretty damn good idea of who they wanted in those games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Red Sox had their guys too. Pretty damn good idea who was playing for the Red Sox almost every game. The Orioles, you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, a lot to do with injuries. And then just, you would hope you can get a consistent lineup where every day, Gunnar, Adley, Jackson, Westberg, I guess Taylor Ward, even Cowser, like those guys, they are automatically in there. If you can get that consistency of guys, we've talked to so many people that have played the games, managers, it's like knowing your role going to the ballpark can make such a big, impact and difference in a season when you know what your role is on a team and it's not forever changing, where it felt like at times over the past few years, it's like guy comes in one day, he's playing left batting second. Next day, he's playing center batting eighth. Next day, he's DHing batting sixth. It just felt like the entire lineup, you didn't know where you were on a day-to-day level. You didn't know where you were playing. You didn't know if you were playing. People were getting benched and platoons were being thrown together that you didn't feel like platoons had to be thrown together for. And I do think that, Abernathy's coming in. Hopefully we get a consistent lineup. I think we started to see that towards the end of last year and it benefited. But the biggest thing is just, finding that consistency, I think allows the entire offense to kind of join together more and get the most out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. The biggest part, again, it was more that the Orioles were ready to move on than it was of filling the need for Taylor Ward. But Taylor Ward is a guy that they are hoping can fill the need of being the dependable player. But time will let it play out. Well, Kevin, I'll let you and Zach finish out with it's a crab. You don't have a fish.
No, that's the crab. That's the bird thing. That's the 1930s antique penguin doorstop. And that is you can't really see the raven, but the raven is that guy. So the fish are on a shelf below.
Love it.
Proud of you. Well, guys, for all the guys that are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. I mean this. The Ryan Ripken Show, we're live at 5, but for baseball season, Zach and Kevin are crazy enough. If you know our audience, they are live every single moment for Orioles breaking news and all that. I just show up when I want to. But like and subscribe, give them the love. They deserve it. So you guys are great. Except, not gonna say it.
Wow.
You guys are both good kids.
Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate it. You get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah. So I think definitely, Kevin, as we wrap up, I think it's shocking more than anything. to be honest. Like, I think that was just another notification I had a double take for, because it was like, okay, that just happened. And that was weird. That was, I didn't expect when I was sitting down watching Kansas Duke that was what was going to happen.
Yeah, it suddenly became a night when it wasn't really going to be a night.
It always is. It
That's
always
that's
is.
how it happens.
You know,
Oh,
gosh. So, yeah, Kevin, any final thoughts before we head out of here?
no, I think we just got two new
I think it's the
members.
same,
Jeff.
Appreciate it. Welcome.
Thank you, Jeff.
Awesome. And appreciate everyone who tuned in. Hit that like and subscribe button over on the Ryan Ripken Show and also on Kevin and Zach React.
Yes. Draven, I do have a Twitter. It's Chaos Striker 34. Actually, I put it in here. Let me re-put it, because I changed the Locked On Ravens for the national show I did tonight. So
gosh,
I need to put back. There we go. Chaos Striker 34, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I need to start getting Facebook going.
I know, I do too. But appreciate everyone who tuned in. Head over and subscribe over on the Kevin Zach React live after every Orioles game, Ravens game, and Sunday Night Football. Talk about football. So all breaking news, you can come here for your up to the moment, I guess, reactions, because no matter what time, we've proven we will react to it.
Yeah,
even if
I have a feeling we're going to have a lot more reactions than we did last off season. I'm not sure they're going to be as late as they were, but you never know with this team. So
you really don't. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Kevin and Zach React. Grayson Rodriguez traded to the LA Angels for Taylor Ward. Interesting trade. Let us know your comments below. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking more about this live at 5 tomorrow on the Ryan Ripken Show. So we will see you all there. AJ, I see it's 3 p.m. there. Jeez, a little jealous, I guess. Not really, but we'll see you guys next time. Taylor Ward.
Grayson Rodriguez.
Wow.
I love when things come together.